Congressman Matt Gaetz warning yesterday in a statement that Republican lawmakers may seek to force a vote on impeaching President Joe Biden while delivering a warning to Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Now, Gaetz expressed frustration, he said, with the slow pace of GOP-led efforts and believes that House Republicans should proactively, quote, seize the initiative with a vote to initiate an impeachment inquiry. And this is part of his post here, saying, quote, I worked very hard in January to develop a toolkit for House Republicans to use in a productive and positive way. I don't believe, he writes, we have used those tools as effectively as we should have. Now, Speaker McCarthy has hinted at the possibility of opening an impeachment inquiry against Biden if the administration does not provide documents related to his family's overseas business dealings. Let's bring in our panel to discuss this closer. Former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins with us today, and Rick Gaetz, former Trump campaign aide, author of the book Wicked Game. Gentlemen, welcome in. Great to see you both.
Good to see you, Bianca.
All right. So, I mean, this has been, a point of contention here. Some people say open up an inquiry, and then some people are saying, like, let's just have an impeachment vote. And, Doug, first to you, Lauren Boebert, Congresswoman Boebert, forced to vote on her resolution to impeach Biden regarding the U.S.-Mexico border in June. It didn't progress. Have things changed enough now with Congress? Obviously, an impeachment vote is very different from an impeachment inquiry. What is your take on what's the next logical step to get some action?
The next logical step, is to take the impeachment inquiry vote, to open up the investigation as an actual impeachment inquiry. I said this when they first did the sham impeachment on Donald Trump. This was a Democrat, went around it. They tried everything else to say, oh, we're in an impeachment inquiry. And I told them over and over and over again, and I proved true that it was a sham to start with for what they were doing. But by not going to the United States House floor and actually voting for the impeachment inquiry, which opens up a plethora of opportunities for them to actually use tools they don't have that allow them to get information that they can't get right now, is something that is vitally important. Then you go from that step into the actual impeachment itself. And I think that's important because we as Republicans don't need to fall into and do the same thing that the sham Democrats did in 2019. We need to do it right, and we need to show the American people this is why Joe Biden does not need to be in office. If that's the way they need to go, they need to do it right.
And it sounds like, Doug, and kick it over to you, Rick, that Biden's getting ready. There's reports he has a war room, about 24 folks there, attorneys, comms people. They see this is coming.
Yeah, it's absolutely coming, and I think they need to be prepared for it. Look, in the offhand chance that McCarthy doesn't have the votes or some other issue prevents it from moving forward, which I think is highly unlikely, that's great for the Biden team. But at this stage, you have to prepare for worst case scenario, and that's exactly what you're going to see. And look, to your earlier point, I agree with Matt Gaetz. The majority in Congress, the Republicans in Congress, could be doing a lot more in terms of subpoenas and other weapons that they have that they could use to get the information. But that is no substitute for what Doug said. And you get into that impeachment inquiry, it gives them additional powers that can actually uncover the evidence that they're looking for if they can find it. If it's not there, it's not there. And we all need as Americans to not see impeachment as a weaponized tool of government. If somebody has committed a high crime and misdemeanor, in the case of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, if they have, then we need to pursue that. We need to investigate it. And that's exactly where we need to go from here.
Yeah, fact-finding mission. Okay, so I've also, you guys have heard this too, the argument, well, Congress controls the purse strings. Why are we allowing, Jack Smith and all these, very expensive, investigations to continue? Why don't we do something more when it comes to the funding, the FBI? There's a funding battle looming ahead, Doug. You laugh, but, that is an argument many people are posing, that we're allowing the weaponization in some way, and Congress should be tougher on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great idea in theory, but there's a certain number, 3 numbers that you need to have, and that's 218, 60, and 1. That means you have to have 218 votes in the House, you have to have 60 votes in the Senate unless they change their number, and you have to have a president who actually would sign that into law. Let's just be frank. That's not going to happen. Okay. Can you hold out and maybe cut back some stuff? Can you do it if you're in a divided government, especially on spending? Yes. But to actually hold up and say, and look, I know what my former colleagues are trying to do, saying, look, we're not going to pass a budget unless we cut back Jack Smith's funding. Okay. That's just not going to happen. Not in the real world. And that's the real world. And I think this is a problem. And I'm sure Rick would possibly agree with me on this. We've got to quit telling our voters stuff we can't do. Okay, we can't just keep having 2-second YouTube moments or Twitter moments or whatever we got going on. We got to be honest with them and say, look, we'll fight to curtail here. We'll get the subpoenas out. We'll do the impeachment inquiry. But to simply say we're not going to fund the government if we don't cut Jack Smith's money out, no, that's just something that's just not factual.
May not be factual, but I think it points to the anger. Rick, I'll give you the final words. Or people just want some action. They're sick of just seeing, hearing after hearing and stonewalling, frankly, for folks like Comer, who's trying to get some documents. Rick, 20 seconds to you.
I think James Comer's doing a good job. He's doing as good enough job as he can, but there's got to be more that's done, and we've got to do it in a realistic way. Exactly as Doug said, don't make promises we can't keep, because what you're going to find is that we're in that situation right now where Kevin McCarthy is dealing with a balancing act. Does he have the votes for an impeachment inquiry? If he doesn't, politically, he's not going to make that move because it'll make the Republicans look bad. On the other hand, he's got the other part of the party that's saying, hey, we need an impeachment inquiry. If you don't do it, we're going to oust you from the speakership. That's not good governance. We need to make sure that we have the evidence there and that we're doing the right thing for the American people.
Good conversation. Rick, Doug, good to see you both. Thank you.
Good to see you too, Bianca.
Great to see you.
All right. Take good care.